Well, things are moving very fast, Carly and Todd. Iranian state TV now denies that they will that the Iranian government, the Iranian military, was responsible for those 1 or 2 missiles that went into Israel's north. We're still looking to confirm the specific number on that. Now, that missile was intercepted and landed without injury, but not without consequence. As you mentioned, Israel's defense minister and the chief of general staff have now vowed fierce retaliation for the violation of a ceasefire that wasn't quite 4 hours old when those missiles came into the north of Israel. But again, Iran is denying that they took part in that. Now, as the ceasefire was preparing to take hold, about 5 waves of ballistic missiles came in from Iran. One of them hit down here in Beersheba, where I'm standing right now. And as we look behind me, you can see what looks like the impact site from that missile is indeed the impact site from the missile. You can see rescue crews right now going through the rubble, searching for any possible people who are trapped in the rubble. It should be mentioned that no one is missing right now. They're just operating out of abundance of caution. One of the things I've seen the rescuers doing today is forming up an old-fashioned bucket brigade, carrying rubble out of that building just to clear as much space as they can. Now, we do know that a family of 4 was inside of the bomb shelter. That bomb shelter took a direct hit. Here is a spokesman from Homefront Command.
What we understand currently, that the family was inside the shelter, and unfortunately, when we have a direct hit, a direct strike of a missile in the shelter, it did not always help.
So those bomb rooms do a good job of protecting people in the blast radius, but when you have a powerful warhead like the one that came down here and it takes a direct hit, all 4 of those people perished. There was an additional 26 people who were injured by the force of that blast, and their injuries vary. So we're watching the situation. When these missiles were fired, the Israeli fighter jets were in the air over Iran. They detected the missile launches and struck back at least some of those missile launchers. So that has taken place all today. But the situation now, of course, is very fragile with Israel's defense minister and the chief of general staff vowing to strike back at Iran for what they say is a flagrant violation of the ceasefire. Iran now says they didn't do it. You could be looking to one of the other rogue elements, a rogue element inside of Iran, or one of the other proxies that are operating in the region.
You're it. You're it. You're it. Quitties. Anti-quitties. You're it. Quitties. No anti-quitties. No startsies. You can't do that. Can't do. Cannot. Triple stamped it. No erases. Touch blue. Make it true. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You guys! Enough! Hey. Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
I'm a massive fan of 90s comedy, and so that speaks to my soul. Ladies and gentlemen, today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025, and President Trump has never been more pissed. You will never see President Trump more angry than in the clip that we are about to play for you that happened outside of the White House just moments ago. Trump explodes, drops the bomb on Israel and Iran. The F-bomb. F-bomb. He already dropped bombs on Iran, but the F-bomb on Israel for its belligerence in violating the ceasefire. If our allies violate the ceasefire that they signed with our president, are they our allies? Ladies and gentlemen, something is going down in the Mideast, and, you know, my take really hasn't changed here when you're talking about a 10,000-year-old blood feud between warring clans that pre-exist America by, I don't know, multiple millennia. Can we go and solve it? Is it fundamentally none of our business? Something we've been preaching on this program for a long time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump lashing out this morning, righteous indignation. Supreme Court gives Trump administration major win on deportations. The deportations shall continue, and the morale will improve. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy joins the program today. We're excited about that as we work through the entire Trump administration, having them on the program. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Duffy's been doing excellent work and fighting Hillary Clinton and making a hilarious humiliation out of Hill Dog. We're going to talk about that and many more things. Gianno Caldwell also on the program, along with our favorite pollster, Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen, to talk about Donald Trump's record high, sky high, rocketing approval rating. It's amazing. Don't ever trust the panicans, ladies and gentlemen. There's plenty of people who are eating crow right now. We are not one of them. You are in the channel that did not freak out, that did not lose hope, that did not disavow MAGA, that did not simp or warmonger for a foreign power, and that did not debase ourselves. Stay strong, ladies and gentlemen. Stay locked in. Be fast and accurate. Lord, make us fast and accurate. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Okay, so peace was short-lived last night. The world is a rocky and sunken and fallen place. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. When President Trump announced his peace deal, the markets roared. And when the peace deal, well, I guess now is at threat, markets collapse. And it's just the way that it goes, ladies and gentlemen. This, of course, this instability has led to skyrocketing inflation when paired with obscene government spending. And that, of course, cripples your family finances. Americans are in higher debt than they've ever been in history. American Financing can help you out of that debt. I want you to be debt-free. Should I call American Financing today to pay off my credit card debt? Yes, you absolutely should. Will they get me out of those 25% usury rates for credit card debt that should be illegal, that I agree with AOC and Bernie Sanders on? Sorry, I just do. I just think that's wrong. Yes, they can, ladies and gentlemen. American Financing is helping people make their minimum payments, get that debt off your back, and do it right now. People are calling American Financing today because they're saving their average customers $800 a month by using the equity in their homes to finally break free of credit card debt. You owe it to your family, see what's possible. Call American Financing today at 888-528-1219. 888-528-1219 for American Financing, AmericanFinancing.net, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, what a wild 24 hours. We covered all of it on the channel. This is the first time that we're live for it. I've never seen Trump more pissed. I've never seen Donald Trump more pissed than this morning. It is an absolute berserker mode tirade that President Trump went on. But before we play you Donald Trump dropping literal F-bombs from the White House lawn, the first time that's happened, history made once again by our 45th and 47th president, I want to bring you Trump's accomplishments over the last few days and why President Trump is so angry. Because Donald Trump did the meme. He did the now Kith meme. And I know we have that meme. Boys, check it out. It's Mike Tyson pigeons meme. He did the now Kith. Donald Trump announced a massive ceasefire peace agreement between Israel and Iran last night that sent markets roaring, the price of oil collapsing, the world rejoicing, left, right, center sides of the internet like coming together and praising President Trump and doing such remarkable work here. This is just our shorthand summary of this. Last night as we were witnessing it, it was really impressive. Stop for a minute and appreciate the Commander-in-Chief masterclass on what we just witnessed with Trump. American military might reestablished, Iranian nuclear capacity destroyed, no boots on the ground, global force projection achieved for the American military, no bloody regime change, no idiotic nation building. American diplomacy respected ceasefire negotiation within days. Regional partners are thrilled about all of this, obviously. China and Russia on red notice. They were watching closely. Markets are roaring, gas prices collapsing, lots of mean tweets, no leaks, media psyops were totally irrelevant, and peace through strength. This is what we call the Trump doctrine as the world watched in awe. This is because President Trump announced last night this deal. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. President Trump, congratulations to everyone. It's been fully agreed on between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire approximately 6 hours from now. Israel and Iran will wind down and complete their progress and final missions for 12 hours, at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and that will be the end to the 12-day war. We will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what they called the 12-day war. This is a war that has gone too far, even though it could have gone on for years, and destroyed the entire Middle East. But it didn't, and it never will. God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless the Middle East, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world, says Donald Trump. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Again, this brought great rejoicing. It was a masterstroke. It was the best of all possible outcomes. And it's exactly in line precisely with what we wanted to have happen. It is indefensible for Iran to have a nuclear program. You don't want a belligerent nation like Iran having a nuclear program. I'm not here to simp for any mullah or ayatollah. No. Like, I'm glad that a nuclear program was gotten rid of. Good. And now I'm glad that America was able to negotiate a ceasefire. Good. We just did something very similar between two nuclear powers with India and Pakistan. They have nukes armed to the teeth, those two nations. And Donald Trump just came in without a single shot being fired and negotiated peace between these two nations. There were bloody terrorist attacks that were happening. It was popping off. You might have forgotten about it. It only happened like 3 weeks ago. And Donald Trump went and negotiated peace. It's a beautiful thing. Blessed are the peacemakers. And of course, we've shown you President Trump's very unique and very effective way to negotiate peace, which is to troll the literal hell out of these people to their faces. Donald Trump outdoing it this morning because something terrible happened last night. To give you a little timeline of events here, because it is important, while President Trump slept, Israel belligerently began bombing Iran, saying that Iran launched missiles at Israel. Who knows who's telling the truth here? But this was all happening at 2:38 a.m. this morning. Donald Trump sleeps, according to his butler, like 4 hours a night. But these are the hours that Donald Trump is asleep, and so they decided to bomb the hell out of each other during that time. Now, this is not just like a simple like catfight. This is, again, a total and direct violation and insult to Donald Trump and everything that he has achieved that we had just elucidated. And then, you know, like, Trump didn't take a bullet to be in this place in this time for that to happen, especially with his allies or with nations like Iran, who have very much been brought to their knees. You don't have the cards, as President Trump would say. But here's what happened.
Here's how it all played out. Just after 6 p.m. Eastern on Monday, President Trump announced both sides agreed to a ceasefire. Around 2 a.m. Eastern, Iran's state media said the ceasefire started. Shortly after, Israel's prime minister announces that he accepted the deal and Israel achieved its war goals. Well, just an hour later, Israel says it detected missiles launched from Iran and then ordered the IDF to resume those strikes on Iranian government and military targets. Early this morning, Iran denying that it fired those missiles after the ceasefire went into effect. So a lot of back and forth here.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has got to anger many, many people in the White House, because the entire White House was out with a full slate last night, rightfully so, championing this peace deal, saying that both sides will agree. Before we get to Donald Trump's scorched earth comments this morning, very quickly, J.D. Vance, knowing that presumably this peace deal and ceasefire structure was in place, booked himself on Fox News Live for its announcement. And here's J.D. Vance's reaction.
Seconds ago, the president went to Truth Social and typed this: "It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire." Complete and total ceasefire is what he typed.
Yep.
What does that mean? How did it come about? What's the development here?
Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here. So that's good news that the president was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now in a place where we weren't a week ago. A week ago, Iran was very close to having a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it. So that's a very, very big thing. Now, what that means, I think, is we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds. Because while we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region, where our regional allies and, of course, the American people, most importantly, can be secured, but where we can ensure that the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program that has already happened is not something they try to rebuild.
J.D. Vance knew that was coming. They were rightfully and righteously excited about what was going on. Stephen Miller also booking himself on Fox News in order to do a victory lap here. This is, again, one of the single greatest master strokes that any commander-in-chief has ever had. peace in the Middle East without firing a shot, or, well, firing shots from really high up in a stealth bomber. Here we go.
Well, let's just take a moment to think about how historic this moment is and what President Trump has achieved in this 12-day war. Presidents going back to Bill Clinton have said it is the policy of the U.S. government not to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. But under every president except Trump, Iran marched closer and closer to being able to put onto a ballistic missile a nuclear warhead that could take out an entire city. That has been the direction Iran has been going in year after year. President Trump took action flawlessly through the United States military to obliterate Iran's nuclear sites and to stop them through the use of military force from having a nuclear weapon. It was a bold, courageous action, and it happened without a single leak, without a single solitary service member losing their life. Everyone said, who was a critic of this action, that it would lead to World War III, and instead we have a ceasefire, and instead we have the beginnings of a new era of stability and peace and security in the Middle East. President Trump, once again, has demonstrated that he alone has the wisdom, the judgment, the strength, and the courage to see this nation through the most dangerous challenges we face around the world, Sean.
Rightful, honored, and correct victory laps for the administration on the single greatest diplomatic victory that we've seen since, well, right here, since Donald Trump marching into North Korea. President Trump marching into North Korea on pretty much the sort of the same premise, right? A lot of mean tweets, a lot of shit talk, and ultimately, world leaders respected it. This was what peace looked like. This was peace in our time. This was a beautiful thing. We obsess over this moment at the program because it deserves obsession. First time ever that a United States president has walked into an active war zone welcomed by the communist dictator that we're at war with. No peace treaty with North Korea. Fought a very bloody war over there. What a remarkable moment. It's beautiful to hear, too, if you listen to it, can you play just the first few seconds with audio? Listen to Donald Trump.
Good to see you again.
이런 데서 각하를 만나게 될 줄 생각 못했어요.
I've never expected to meet you at this place.
That's good. That's my honor. Would you like me to step across?
각하께서 한 발자국 건너시면 사상 처음으로.
And he welcomes him across, right? My friend, says Donald Trump. My friend. And he extends the hand of peace. Kim Jong-un, sincere, you can tell Kim Jong-un is actually starstruck. And again, this is what we had. We had a situation where Donald Trump was like this close to welcoming the Ayatollah of the White House, the now Kith situation. There it is. And unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, things went south. The ceasefire is now in effect, said President Trump at 1:08 a.m. in the morning. Do not violate it, says Donald Trump at 1:08 a.m. in the morning. But as we have covered, violate it they did. President Trump at 6 this morning woke up to this news and began raging on Truth Social. Israel, do not drop bombs. If you do it, it is a major violation. Bring your pilots home now. Donald Trump, the President of the United States. President Trump carrying on 1 hour later. Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home. While doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So Donald Trump is trying to muscle this through. And in case you're wondering exactly how angry President Trump is about all of this, well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the part that, of course, is getting all the news. We'll play you this part, and then, of course, we always take the president in full context. So here's Donald Trump with the full F-bomb, talking about how frustrated he is with Israel. We'll give you this short clip, and then we'll give you Trump's full presser, which isn't particularly long, but gives absolute context. But here's Donald Trump, berserker mode, dropping the F-bomb on Israel and Iran.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Daddy home. Daddy's home moment. Rep. Anna Paluna, friend of the show, saying something that is absolutely truthful in every regard. People are going to get very offended. People are going to get so angry about it. But it doesn't matter. Are you an ally if you violate the ceasefire that you signed with our president? And you do it while he's sleeping in the dark of night, and you start bombing belligerently again. If our allies violate a ceasefire negotiated by the President of the United States, they do not deserve our aid or assistance. You're not an ally if you do that. People need to take into deep consideration what the words mean. What does the term ally actually mean, ladies and gentlemen? According to a White House source, Trump was angry and confronted Netanyahu personally over the phone in an exceptionally firm and direct way over his objections to the Israeli strike. Netanyahu scaled down the strike after speaking with President Trump, but he didn't scrap it entirely. So these two men are, in fact, again, warring and are, well, testing the boundaries of what ally actually means. What's the full takeaway here? And let's play the full Trump clip. I'll tell you why, just what my thoughts are on this, just very quickly, and because we've explained this, and we're thrilled about our particular situation, our particular place in history right now we're thrilled about it. We're thrilled about how the show has managed all of this. There were zero public freakouts. There were zero public meltdowns by our show. There was zero abandoning MAGA or the president. Even when there were things that we didn't understand, what we said was Donald Trump's a smart guy and he didn't take a bullet to the head in order to atomize the MAGA movement. He didn't do that. We are very proud on this program to keep our cool, to not disavow MAGA, to not warmonger or simp for any foreign country, whether that's Iran or Israel. That sort of belligerence, of course, gets American soldiers killed, leads to wars like Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, destabilizes the entire West. We don't want that. We've been perfectly consistent and rings like a bell on this program. Perfectly and totally consistent in our worldview on this. There's been a lot of people who've made fools of themselves over the last couple of weeks, days. Not us, ladies and gentlemen. Not us. So what is it? What is the take now that we've watched what's occurred over the last 24 hours? You got to ask yourself, do these countries want peace? There's negotiations in good faith, and then there's negotiations in bad faith. And what you've seen is a lot of bad faith actors. I'm a Christian. Blessed are the peacemakers, says Christ. Yes. In fact, Christ was witness to some of possibly the single most justifiable, violent act in the history of the world, which is one of his disciples drawing a sharp sword and attacking the mob that was planning on murdering Christ. This happened, and Christ said, "Put away your sword. You who live by the sword will die by the sword. Be at peace. Whether it is as much as it is possible, be at peace with all men," says the Apostle Paul. So we take all of that into context, and we say, good, this is what President Trump is trying to do and what he accomplished yesterday. But when you have a bad faith actor, and when you have a number of bad faith actors online, and you know who they are, they're just your standard neocon. They're the neocon. They've been the neocons forever. You can go back to the Iraq War. It's all the same people. It's breathtaking, truly. It's breathtaking. But it's the same people. Nothing new under the sun. Time is a flat circle. And you see these same belligerent jackals and jackasses that are just constantly raging about bloodlust. They just want war. They want death. They want carnage. They want destruction and regime change. Their fat asses won't deploy, of course, but like they'll send me or my sons, they'll send your sons and daughters to go die in a sandpit for another country, to protect another country's border. None of these people said anything about when our borders were violated, and that's the ultimate point. The ultimate point here is, can President Trump solve the problem of warring clans that go back to the Genesis, okay? 10,000 years in human history in this region. Can he? I hope so. He could only do so with the hand and the power of God, quite frankly, like, because this is all spiritual warfare. But blessed are the peacemakers, and we deeply, deeply respect the fact that President Trump is trying to do that. We support him in that. We'll use all of our power in order to effort that. But as we've shown on this program time and time again, there's virtually zero support. I mean, it's statistically zero, according to the polling that we showed you yesterday, support for America to be involved in a war with Iran in this country. And Donald Trump is president, not of the world, but of this country. He may be the leader of the world, and he certainly is, the free leader of the world, but he is the president of this country, and this country says no to war. All sides, Republican, Democrat, old and young. No one is in favor of the war. And Donald Trump is so wise to have listened to that council, to have done what needed to be done, right, to rid the world of Iran's nuclear program, fine. And then he stopped there, and now he's backing way off and suing for peace. Good. The same psychotic, bloodthirsty vampires, demons, and jackals are so mad right now. Neocons so down bad right now because Donald Trump won't blow us all into like another Stone Age and atomic holocaust. We don't, like, again, this region has and always will be a tinderbox. President Trump, the masterstroke, what he pulled off last night. And what needs to be asked right now is, will these nations act in good faith? And will they agree? Is their word worth anything? Will they agree to the ceasefire deal that they all publicly agreed to last night? If they don't, then it is a total and complete insult to our nation, and we should take that personally. And it is an insult to our president, who, again, took a bullet to make this happen and doesn't need to be focused on this. And this will be like the final charge of our show. Final charge of our program is we have problems here at home. Oh, wow, Iran could have a nuclear weapon 5,000 miles away from us. Okay, well, you know, there's a lot of countries that threaten America. And a lot of these countries do it from inside of our country, not from 5,000 miles away. Iran has terrorist elements inside of our country right now. Our mission must be to rid our nation first of those elements. That has to be the primary goal. If we don't keep the main thing, which is the utter and total calamitous collapse of Western civilization, of our nation, of our culture, as we wash as waves of criminal third world aliens wash through our nation, changing it fundamentally and forever in a vile scheme by the Democrat Party in order to change the electorate in their favor, to make life worse for all of us, but to change the electorate in their favor, to give them permanent regime control. That is a nuclear bomb that has been buried deep into the soul of America right now, and its fuse is set. The pin is pulled. If we don't focus on that, and I do have very good news later in the show to talk about, the Supreme Court had an excellent ruling on this, said mass deportations shall and will begin, and that these criminal aliens can be deported to any country we choose, pretty much. Like we just send them away. What a wonderful deterrence. Talk about a nuclear deterrence. But that, among many other alliterated problems in this nation, is what we must focus on. And I'm going to take the J.D. Vance line when it comes to these kind of regional conflicts and say, fundamentally, not our problem. That's been the official stance of this program, and it's going to remain the official stance of this program. Fundamentally not our problem. And that is the stance of President Trump, ladies and gentlemen, this morning, as he made very, very clear in his full remarks. Okay. Klein, how long is this clip? 5 minutes. Okay. Let's hop in, ladies and gentlemen. We want to play President Trump in full. We want to declare with a very strong voice once again, we were right. We were right. We were right. We're very proud of this audience. We're so proud of the Benny Brigade. We're so proud of this chat, you in the chat, because we were able to lock this down together and get this result. This was the correct result. Donald Trump fighting for peace. Give the man the Nobel Peace Prize. Have a listen.
I don't think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. Ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either. Because all I do is play both sides. I'm going now, as you know, to NATO. Some of you are going with me, and I think it's going to be successful. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Are you going to achieve the agreement? It's a new dawn in the Middle East, the agreement you managed to achieve. What are your future plans for the region, for Saudi Arabia, Israel, Gaza, the hostages?
Look, you're asking me about women in the Middle East. It's getting a lot better. Things are happening at a high level. As you know, Saudi Arabia's done a really good job. It's coming out far faster than I thought. So we're very happy about what's happening with women in the Middle East.
No, I'm talking about a new dawn in the Middle East that you managed to achieve last night.
Yeah.
The region is going to a new place with the agreement. Can you tell us what your future plans for Gaza, for the hostages?
Yeah. It's a new dawn. I appreciate the question. You're very nice. Who are you?
Thank you. I'm Neria Kraus from Israeli Channel 13 News.
Well, we have to have Israel calm down because they went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
Did you get to speak with Prime Minister? Did you talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu?
I speak to everybody.
You urged
both sides not to violate the ceasefire, but reports coming from the region suggest that the sides accuse each other for violating the ceasefire. So
I think they both violated it. I'm not sure they did it intentionally. They couldn't rein people back. I don't like the fact that Israel went out this morning at all, and I'm going to see if I can stop it. So as soon as I get away from you, I'm going to see if I can stop it, okay? I think it's been completely demolished. I think the reason we're here is because those pilots, those B-2 pilots, did an unbelievable job. And, the fake news, like CNN in particular, they're trying to say, well, I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all. And frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots, they're after me. They want to try and demean. No, Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there? Absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace. He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Iran violated the peace agreement and the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I've never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Sometimes on the program, we're live every day, right? I understand the pressure of being live. Like, I get it. And, you know, I get it. Like, we're living our dream here, actually, right? Like, think nothing other than we're living our dream. But you, like, there are some times when you let it slip, right? I try not to curse on the live stream, but, like, you know, on occasion, got some sailor talk, some locker room talk, as you'd say. That wasn't a slip. You could see it. That was intentional. Donald Trump was sending a message there, ladies and gentlemen. To unpack that message, joining us live now is Fox News political analyst and author Gianno Caldwell, somebody who knows President Trump very well. Welcome, Gianno, to the program. Gianno, President Trump was cooking there. I've never seen the commander-in-chief take that posit with an ally or with a foreign nation or really with anything. I think that's the first time in history that we had a bomb dropped at the White House, the F-bomb. Your takeaway from this, Gianno?
Well, this just proves time and time again that President Donald Trump means business, plain and simple. And we saw what a difference an administration makes. We looked at the war in Ukraine and Russia. We saw what happened around October 7th. And now we have this that only took place 12 days because we had a president who showed leadership, who's strong, who has authority on these subject matters and knows all the players. And more importantly than anything else, is respected by all sides of this issue. That's why he took decisive action, one in which we wouldn't have seen from a Kamala Harris, a Joe Biden, or a Barack Obama. We've seen decisive action with this president and saying, look, you know, enough is enough. I gave you guys a 12-hour warning. We're supposed to have a ceasefire. That means both sides stop. And, you know, Israel's our ally, our beloved ally. But even them can face the wrath of President Donald Trump if they do something that they're not supposed to do. And I really respect this president, and I'm thankful for him.
Yeah, you speak on behalf of a younger generation of men who, you know, it's typically our cohort that gets sent off to go die in the sand in these countries. And we all watched, right, with the GWOT wars, that exact thing happen. And nobody wants this. And there seems to be like a massive sea change, especially among young men. And this is why we all voted for Trump, because he seems to have the power and stamina to actually keep America out of war. And this is very, very popular with young men. Is this why we're seeing Donald Trump's approval ratings soar with our specific demographic?
That's right. And when we look through the election, the poll numbers, the exit polling, we saw a lot of young men turn out for Donald Trump, I believe, because they, quite frankly, had no choice. Masculinity in this country has been demonized and been made out to be something that's negative when, in fact, it is not. But that's how far the left has gone. They've gone so far left that they can't tell you what a woman is. They've gone so far left that they tell you Bidenomics was a good thing when you're seeing a deficit in your paycheck and your bills. I mean, it's just outrageous what they've done, but people saw through it. And again, even people who didn't like Trump's personality, they may not like how he may say some things, felt that they had no choice but to vote for him because he was the only sane person running.
We know that you know the president personally, and you've worked with him. We have a great photo of you and him in the Oval Office here. What do you think is going to be the final outcome with Trump? We've obviously been following the Trump doctrine on this program. Donald Trump does mean tweet and troll his way into the results that he wants. That's what got him obviously a handshake in the DMZ in North Korea.
Yes.
And it's what got him the destruction of ISIS and the killing of General Soleimani in his first administration. What is the chess game here for the president?
Peace. Ultimately, he is the commander in chief, and he brings about peace. And I think that's one of the things that the world has been waiting on for a very long time, because as you know, peace through strength does provide deterrent. And I've talked about not just on a global stage, but locally as well. Here in the United States of America, the difference in which President Donald Trump's words have made in many communities across the country, the fact that he's taking back our country and pushing out those who've entered illegally and committed crimes, pushing the worst out first, and then we'll deal with who else is here illegally. There's a number of issues in which Donald Trump's voice has made a great difference, especially around crime. And I talk about it in my new book, The Day My Brother Was Murdered, My Journey Through America's Violent Crime Crisis. I encourage everybody to pick it up. It's out today. But this president is the one that we needed for this time, right now, in order to get things back on track, because we lived through a disaster of 4 years under Joe Biden, a collapsing of the world around us, and now things are looking back up again.
Something that we're constantly talking about on this program, Gianna, is that there's a nuclear bomb already here in this nation. It's been detonated. It's 20 million criminal aliens, many of them in your hometown of Chicago,
yes,
that are able to operate with impunity inside of sanctuary cities and sanctuary states that don't get, they commit horrible crimes. They get released back onto the streets. And that is an existential threat much larger than anything happening in the Mideast to this country. And we'd like to get the focus back onto this nation, and that's fundamentally what America First is. And do you agree with that?
No, 100%. And that's why we saw so many people concerned over this past week about potential sleeper cells in our country. Because militarily, a lot of these countries can't really do much with us. We have a massive military. We have more military tools, if you will, guns, ammunition, etc., that can defend us. But when it comes to folks coming through the border, the open border, which we know there was 2 million that we are aware of, gotaways that we're aware of, many of these folks that came in were terrorists. They were sent by Hezbollah and offshoots to Iran and many other places, China, etc. We saw people come over across the border with Toomey luggage. Can you believe that? $800 bag. So that tells me you're well-funded somehow, and you came here to do great damage to this country. Not that you're just trying to get away from your country, because obviously you live pretty well. Now, the thing is, though, we have to continue to be vocal against those who try to lie about the president. People who say that, oh, he's deporting Americans. No, he isn't. He isn't deporting Americans. Those who choose to lie about the Maryland man and say he was some good citizen. No, he was wanted for crimes. He should have not been in this country to begin with, but he was. So we got to make sure we push back against the left with these narratives that they continue to try to drive home with disinformation all across the internet.
Yeah. You do have a brand new book out, The Day My Brother Was Murdered. It is about crime in your hometown of Chicago. I do certainly hope that you run for mayor of Chicago. A city that I actually love a lot as I grew up in the Midwest, and you would go there on vacation. It's a great American city. It actually truly is. And you'll never get another one. You can't rebuild Chicago. It's a beautiful place. But it has pretty much collapsed into, in some neighborhoods, just an abject, third world. We saw that during the DNC convention when we drove through Barack Obama's, old neighborhood. He's done absolutely nothing for the south side of Chicago. It was deplete, and it was tough to look at, frankly, Gianno. Yeah. We went there and we recorded this video, and to a man, every person that we asked on the street wanted Donald Trump to be president. It's wild. This is in the shadow of Barack Obama's presidential library. Everyone wanting Trump as president. What exactly is that? Maybe you can tie it into the book.
Yeah, and I talk about that in the book, The Day My Brother Was Murdered, My Journey Through America's Violent Crime Crisis. You look at not just the crime that many of these folks are brought into the city of Chicago and it's exploded. And I know you say some neighborhoods, but many of the neighborhoods in the city of Chicago are a disaster now. It used to be that it was concentrated on the south and west sides of Chicago, but now you can go downtown and be robbed or beaten. You see many of the stores that were layered across Michigan Avenue, one of the most beautiful places you can go. You can go shop and enjoy with your family. A lot of those places are boarded up.
Yeah.
And it's the unfortunate reality of when liberal policies goes wild, they bring about destruction. You think about Brandon Johnson allowing in all these folks and usurping resources that the people of Chicago actually need for protection of their family. We're talking about in Illinois over $2.5 billion spent on migrant, and in the city of New York, or state of New York, $7 billion spent. These are resources that should go to Americans first. It should be that way, but unfortunately, many of them have capitulated to the idea that Americans shouldn't be first. And that's what I think created an urgency within many communities in Chicago, including the Black community, that Donald Trump needed to be elected president. You see it in city council meetings all the time. African Americans go up and say, Brandon Johnson, your days are numbered. Now that Donald Trump is president, we're actually going to get something done on this immigration issue. And we've been seeing movement. We've seen California. We've seen in Chicago. We've seen all over the country. And we need to get more of these criminal aliens out of our country. So I appreciate the fact that President Trump has said we need to do even more. I believe he said that earlier this week or last week. We need to do even more to get these folks out of the country because they're wreaking havoc on our citizens, and it's very much inappropriate.
It's like really, it was really cripplingly sad. Last time we were in Chicago, I know my producers have pulled a couple of photos of just the boarded up buildings downtown. Chicago is just such an impressive skyline, such an impressive downtown. It's beautiful. We stay at the Trump Tower down there. It's just one of the best hotels that Trump has. I think it's my personal favorite. And then when we were down there, it was just utterly depressing. Probably 2 out of every 3 stores on Michigan Avenue was closed down and boarded up.
Yep.
And this wasn't particularly during like a riotous time, right? We didn't go there in the height of like the riots. It's just the way that it is now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just total collapse. And now you can find apartments downtown for like $100,000. It's like, it's just it's wild to see the. I don't think we talk about it enough. I mean, there's a lot of focus on LA and California, but what's happening in Chicago is just downright criminal. I know you have obviously personal affect there with the murder of your brother. It just sucks. It sucks. You hate to see it happen to a great American city.
Exactly right. And to your point, Chicago, in my humble opinion, I've been on every continent but Antarctica, the most beautiful downtown of any city in the world, personally. But to your point, the destruction that has occurred there is something that I never would have thought in my years of living I would have seen with my own very eyes. I can't believe it. But when you have policies in Chicago called the Safety Act, which was something that they passed within the last couple of years, which allows for criminals, people who are actually accused of murdering people, to go home and have ankle monitor braces on, and then they create this law whereas the police cannot respond to an individual. The ankle monitor bracelet go off, meaning they're out of range of their home. They usually would call and come by your house to check and make sure you're there. They cannot respond for 72 hours, which means if you're there and you've been arrested for murder, you can go out and kill the witness and get off scot-free, and there's nothing the police can do for 72 hours. They literally handcuffed the police there. They defunded the police there, and the unfortunate reality of being in Chicago is there's so much potential, but it lies in graveyards across the city of Chicago because of the violence that exists there. It's disturbing on every level, and people have been asking me, saying that I should run for mayor. They've been saying I should run for U.S. Senate. They say I should run for governor. And the truth of the matter is, the way things have been going in my hometown is something that I'm very much considering now.
Oh, wonderful. So what would you choose? Would you choose mayor of Chicago? I mean, Brandon Johnson won by what I believe to be just like the margin of fraud, right? Like clearly that's what everybody like sees and kind of knows instinctually when you're in downtown Chicago, is that like it just wasn't like a square election, but nonetheless, like it was very, very thin margin.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a deep and growing attitude of change that needs to be happening in that city and in the state of Illinois.
And Brandon Johnson doesn't have a chance of winning re-election. He's the lowest polling mayor in the history of the city of Chicago. He's certainly created a deficit, even worse than Lori Lightfoot, which no one thought was possible, but he somehow succeeded, and he's created a city where the citizens are barely surviving. And that's honestly the reality, whether it be the resources that have been usurped or the crime that plagues this city still. It's a nightmare scenario. It's Gotham City for many of the residents there. So that would be, I think, a race that would be very interesting. U.S. Senate would be very interesting as well. But right now, more importantly than anything else, the people of Chicago need help, and they need leaders that are willing to make the tough decisions without concern of them being reelected.
So very quickly here, as it goes to handing off the baton to failure after failure after failure, Kamala Harris has announced that she is now going to be running for the governor of California. She's leaking, her team is leaking to the Hill that she's taking a serious look, which is, of course, political speak for I'm going to do this in California. We were just in California, actually, and asking people on the street whether they want this. We couldn't find a single person that said they wanted Kamala Harris as their governor. But the way elections work in states like California, I'm sure they would be able to figure it out. And anybody that doesn't vote for Kamala Harris, you'll just lock up for smoking weed. So it's a pretty down bad state. Your thoughts on failing upward for Kamala?
Well, I really hope Steve Hilton, which I'm imagining you know very well, I hope that he has a really good go at it. I think he would be a great governor of the state of California. I think for Kamala Harris, I mean, her policies are the reason in which she didn't win for president. Is also the reason why many folks on the left and the Hollywood groups, they ran to her defense to try to get her elected. My concern in the state of California is the same thing would happen and people would be pressured to vote for her. But what does she offer? What does she offer the state of California? Not much. As vice president, rather, we didn't see her offer the state any particular olive branches. She didn't bring home anything, if you will, that can be a signature item for her to show the voters of California. Like, even in the White House as vice president, I was working for you in ensuring that Californians were better off. That didn't happen. They're actually, in many cases, worse off under the leadership of Gavin Newsom. And certainly they were worse off under her leadership when she was in the state of California as an elected official. So this is a quite an interesting situation. And I wonder what her ultimate goal is, because I'm imagining being governor isn't what she would really ultimately want to do. It would probably be to have a platform to run for president. That seems to be the goal of hers.
God help us. All right. Well, I often say this, and I'll say it again. There's no such thing as a permanent blue state. There's no such thing as a permanent red state, something Republicans should really remember when it comes to passing laws in states like Texas and Florida. Something I think we're doing a great job of here, actually, in Florida. Keeping red states red is a constant vigilance. And blue states, which are collapsing and failing in real time, are ripe for the taking. So Godspeed, Giano. Everybody follow Giano in his decision quest for whether he's going to run for mayor of Chicago. I will do a tacit and early endorsement and say, tell me where I can send the check for your mayoral race. But also, ladies and gentlemen, support Giano in his brand new book, The Day My Brother Was Murdered, a story about violent crime in America. And a crisis that we hope you take on, Giano, in whatever way.
No, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And please visit CaldwellInstitute.org. It's our 501c3. We're against George Soros-funded prosecutors, and we're targeting anyone who's against public safety, mayor or governor. So we really appreciate the help, the support, and please do get a copy of my new book, The Day My Brother Was Murdered, My Journey Through America's Violent Crime Crisis. Thank you so much, Benny.
Godspeed, man.
Godspeed.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you like the scorching hot President Trump takes straight to the face, dropping F-bombs that will melt your face off, I certainly do, then perhaps you'll like something that I do every single night, which is another hot mask to the face, but not too hot. It's my red light bond charge mask that I wear in order to keep my skin looking good, detoxify, re-energize, and get that red light that you are starved of during the day. We are, I do work literally inside of a little black box that has no windows and no doors, and I often don't see any of the, the light of the sun. Tell I'm out of here, and sometimes the sun is down by that time. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get that incredible red light that is so good for you, the Bond Charge Infrared Sauna Blanket is what you need. It heats your body directly rather than the air around you like a sauna. It means you get the same benefits with lower heat. The infrared heat can also help release endorphins that leave you feeling euphoric after each session. It's easy to set up. It heats up rapidly. It's got really high temperatures. But ladies and gentlemen, more importantly, it's just great for your health. My wife was using one last night, and Nurse Kate is very, very picky with all of the products that she uses. So, Bond Charge, ladies and gentlemen, it ships worldwide. All products are HSA and FSA eligible. Pre-tax savings of 40%, plus free shipping on every single sauna blanket, a 12-month warranty. Go to bondcharge.com/Benny. Use the coupon code Benny to save 15%. BONCHARGE.com/Benny and use the coupon code Benny. Save 15%. These products and statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. They just make you feel great. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Joining us now, our dear friend and somebody that we call Polstradamus. All right, just made up that one off the top of the dome. Very proud of myself here. Polstradamus, the great Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen, joins us live now. I like it, dude. Polstradamus. I'm gonna get you like one of those wizard hats. Yeah, it gets you like a wizard hat and a little like ball, and we're just gonna fall in a long beard. I don't know if you can grow a beard. I'm not sure. Looks like it'd be like one of those like really nice.
It's ugly, but
okay. All right, great.
I'm licensing that for my Twitter handle. Thank you.
Okay. Done. Proud to help out a friend. Okay, so help us out here. Here's the poll that we continued to put up from YouGov, and I know you're going to probably dunk on YouGov, but whatever. We thought this is a pretty solid poll, and it's like it shows that about 5% of the country thinks we should go to war with Iran. I have not seen a poll so lopsided in a very, very long time. Close to 90%, depending on the way that you read the numbers, say no war with Iran. Are you finding these? Are you finding like similar results in your polling?
Their Trump stuff is way off, but usually for most of these pollsters, they're going to get directionally correct. And this is that's a pretty overt question. It's a pretty high bar to clear. And so since you have 85% say no, I mean, we had something similar, but we were a little bit more, detailed. Would you support or oppose the U.S. using ground troops to support Israel in the war against Iran? So that's not necessarily a war. And we still only got 14% strongly support, 33% support. So it's only a 1 in 3 person thing. And their panel probably leans younger, ours leans older, but people don't want this. I mean, people did want, believe it or not, this Iranian strike. The whole Iran's going to get a nuclear weapon thing has been a pretty powerful tool that they've used over the last couple decades. We had 84% agreeing with the statement that Iran can never have a nuke. And then we also had a majority saying, yeah, it's probably time to drop bombs on them. But there is a very clear red line here. And I think that that's one of the reasons that you see this huge discussion that's played out over on Twitter for the last week. Essentially, I think the right figuring out what's the right thing to do here. And objectively, it's probably to focus on Donald Trump's domestic policy agenda, because that's why he got elected, not to clean up the problems overseas.
Yes. So President Trump, congratulations. He just shared one of your polls on Truth Social last night. Yeah. Rasmussen poll, 56% approval rating. Trump approval soars. Donald Trump is getting more popular through all of this. Can you unpack that for us, Mark?
This is a single nightly result. It's not really statistically significant. I think Trump team does that every once in a while, but his approval rating is doing well. I mean, it was doing well before this, and it started actually going up when Gavin Newsom started virtue signaling about the riot going on in LA. He was up to +8 right now. I think he's down to +4, but that's still really good considering that Biden was anywhere from -10 to -20 almost his entire term, except for the first couple of months. So Donald Trump's approval is like soaring, especially considering the modern political context where we have people popping off and trying to shoot each other. So really good approval rating. He's a 52%. It's +4. That means he's picked up some people since the fall. He's, I think, winning hearts and minds. And we're still getting high right direction numbers. Before this U.S. attack, it was 48%. Now it's taken a little bit of a hit. The last 3 nights, it's been 43%. Wrong track ticked up over 50. But that's because we are engaged in some kind of complex conflict overseas, and people are going to respond to that. So I don't think that this is really going to affect hardly anything, assuming that Trump is doing what we all think he's going to do, which is, okay, we did our piece. Like, now let's move on.
So where is the president going from a directional standpoint when it comes to the conflict here? Where would you advise, just based purely on the data and nothing else? You say that Americans demonstrably want peace, no boots on the ground in the region, that President Trump is doing the right thing by taking this tact towards ceasefire, peace, and de-escalation.
Yeah, 100%. I think that Ukraine and Russia is still hanging over our heads. I think that people saw Donald Trump as stronger on that issue. It's one of the reasons he got elected, stronger on foreign policy. Biden was doing pretty well on the issue of foreign policy early in his term. And then with Afghanistan and Russia and Ukraine, that all kind of imploded and it became one of his worst issues. People overwhelmingly saw that as a stalemate and said that we were doing too much to help Ukraine and not enough. Those numbers flipped. In the beginning, it was, no, we're not doing enough. But, 2 years in, it's like, no, we're doing too much. It's a stalemate. Time to pull out. We still have that. And Russia is a much more powerful nuclear foe, potentially, and we're basically in this protracted quasi-proxy situation with them. Trump comes into term, he blows it out of the water with his domestic policy agenda. Republicans in Congress haven't really done anything. I mean, quite frankly, I guess they're going to get the big, beautiful bill across the finish line July 4th, dumping into the holiday weekend, I guess. I don't know how much of a pickup that's going to be. The big, beautiful bill doesn't poll that well, and I think there's probably going to be maybe a moderate bounce or whatever, and that'll be in the rearview mirror. And then it's like, okay, well, there's this big vacuum going into the fall. And so what's that big vacuum going to be filled with? Is it going to be filled with Trump and Bibi Netanyahu duking it out over Israel overstepping ceasefire agreements Donald Trump tried to put in place last night? Like, not good optics, because the Democrats were in the middle of self-immolation a week and a half ago, and Israel basically took that off the table for us. So again, I don't want Iran to have a nuke. That would be bad. But it's like, I guess we did what we came to do, and I don't think Americans want to stick by and see this drag on.
I have one of the most stunning graphs I've ever seen. It's from Real Clear Politics. Your data is baked into this line graph, but it's absolutely profound. And it's profound in a way that I think every administration, Republican or Democrat, needs to study.
There it is. Yep.
And what is that inflection point, Mark?
I'm pretty sure that's going to be exactly the middle of September 2021, right? Right where everything started imploding. August, yeah. So what's the exact date when stuff started blowing up in Afghanistan? So we had this withdrawal planned, and then everybody watched as a slow motion train wreck played out. And what are they doing? Why are we leaving these things there? Why are there human beings dropping from a plane? Why are bombs blowing up and our service members are dying? Why didn't they plan this better? Where are all the generals? Why are they missing in action? This was what was going on in the news. Now, there was this kind of kumbaya moment where a lot of normies who hadn't voted before did pile in behind Joe Biden. This whole, hey, we're going to pull through this and COVID, and we're singing Disney sing-alongs on network news in our masks. You remember that. And that's one of the reasons 2020, listen, everything was not above board, but a lot of people did vote for Joe Biden. There was this aspect of let's pull back from the perceived chaos of the Trump administration. So he convinced a lot of people, yeah, he was running on unity. Yeah, the adults were going to be back in charge. And that right there is where it hit the brick wall. But within a month, everybody was chanting FJB in football stadiums around the world. Every gas pump in the entire country had an I did that sticker on it. Everybody wasn't able to get chips. You couldn't buy your cars. It was a complete and utter mess. And it stayed that way. So he destroyed his administration basically in 9 months, probably the fastest political implosion ever. And it recovered a little bit. You're tracing out there what happened probably around Dobbs and then leading into, that's where he turned it around in Dobbs. People are like, oh, we gotta circle the wagons. We got to get these Democrats over the hump in the midterms. But it never really recovered. So you're looking -12, -15, and that's the industry. This is the lying polling industry, and they had Biden underwater in the teens, and you did not see headlines around the clock about how bad Joe Biden's approval rating was. Donald Trump is positive right now. He's underwater only 3 points in the industry, and in the industry, you got a -16 from Reuters and Quinnipiac sitting there pulling everything down. So Trump is objectively a significantly better approved of president than Joe Biden, even if you look at all the liars.
And the destruction of Joe Biden's administration and Bush's administration and Obama's administration can all be traced back to Middle East entanglements in forever wars, right?
Yep. Yeah. That's a cautionary tale for the burgeoning second Trump administration. People want America back. People don't want the Middle East. People don't want expansionist empire building in Eurasia. That's not what they signed up for.
Chilling. However, in spite of all of it, peace is polling very, very well, and Donald Trump is still polling historically well. Is that a correct take?
Yeah, 100%. If you look at, I don't have them here, but our approval chart where we overlay every single prior president going back to Obama 1, we have all that. I should have prepped it. I'm pretty sure. Oh, there it is. It's been updated. The red line that you've circled there is getting awfully close to that purple line.
Wow.
It's way closer in the recent chart. I don't know. I think it's going to cross, and it would be awfully ironic if literally the month that Donald Trump ended Iran's nuclear ambition after a failed $100 billion Iranian nuclear bill that Obama got passed in 2015, a deal with Iran. The same month that Trump 2.0 crosses Obama 1.0 approval, I think that would be really poetic. So I'm going to have to keep watching that and see if it happens.
So you're
because
saying
that's politics Jesus there, and Trump's about to outperform him.
You're saying that President Trump is about to beat Barack Obama for being the most popular president in our lifetimes.
At this point in the term and going forward, yeah, 100%.
In modern history.
Yeah.
And that's what this chart shows right here.
That's it.
Wow. Here it is again.
So again, something might happen. There might be a black swan. This is not it. What's that?
Yeah, we're going to zoom in on this so that everyone can see, because I know there's a lot of data here. This is a historic moment, Mark.
I'll get you an updated one to tweet out later, but it's...
Our team's looking for the updated one right now, but you're saying that Trump's the red line and the purple line's Obama, and Trump is skyrocketing towards beating Obama for the most popular president in our lifetimes.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And it's like, okay, well, you look at that big spike, and somebody's gonna be pedantic and say, no, Obama had like a 70% approval rating. Well, yeah, they were releasing doves at his, at all of his rallies and stuff like that. Yeah, he came in with a really high approval rating. Everybody thought that he was going to cure the great financial crisis, and now look what happened. It absolutely imploded as well.
And the cautionary tale here is that foreign entanglements and forever wars destroy presidencies.
Yeah,
people want,
and they always have a knack of keep popping up for some reason. It's almost like the inertia in Washington, D.C., with every fiber of their being, craves this kind of dalliance or release or whatever it is. And we saw a lot of those people, we saw their masks slip. But it's really easy in your self-crafted Washington, D.C. bubble to listen to the special interests that are telling you, no, this is easier, this is better, this is a checkbox that we have to tick off. This is something that's part of our foreign policy punch list, and it's got to get done sooner or later. And so now's our chance, and look what a good investment it's going to be. That's how DC works.
It's our sacred obligation to our allies, but our allies don't even abide by the effing peace deal that they signed. They can't even abide by it for an hour.
Yeah,
it's so. I mean, Trump dropping F-bombs at the White House today. He's so angry and frustrated and raging at all of this. And so we just like Donald Trump's on Air Force One right now. A new clip is just out. Trump saying, I don't want regime change. I'm not going to get involved here. I'm out. Fundamentally not our problem. If you're going to like disrespect me like this, like good. It's amazing, Mark. I mean, what people want.
Yeah,
it's insane. But like what people want is actually a focus on this country, of which there are a serious set of problems that we all face.
Yeah.
And and you're saying, just to put a bow on this, you're saying they loved what Trump was doing in LA. They loved truth, justice, the American way, the deployment of the Marines, the bringing great order back into our cities, and the putting down of the left-wing mobs, of which there is great fatigue in this country.
Well, Democrats just eviscerating themselves. You have Kamala Harris, who's disappeared. If you look at the organic search term Kamala Harris, it's like this woman doesn't exist anymore. She disappeared in November 2024, and she's still polling high. I think that's all just carryover. And then who else? Like, what do they have? So they have Gavin Newsom. We talked about it, like out there literally trying to convince the 15% of people who think that we shouldn't deport folks to support him in his presidential run. That's not going to go anywhere. And while cities are burning down, law and order was a big part of this election because of the weaponization of the political of the justice system, the way it was politicized, and also the rampant crime and fentanyl that's been pouring across the border and popping up in every single blue city. Violent crime was like number 4 in a lot of the polls we did in the swing states. And so that's a problem when you have the optics and virtue signaling about sanctuary cities and ICE isn't enough. People crave with every fiber of their being the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. That's like an 80% issue, and mass deportation is over a 60% issue, 2-to-1. And they're making their presidential run on this. So yeah, all of these optics that you're putting on this is what caused Donald Trump's approval rate to spike right back up, right direction, and come back up. National Guard in LA was over 50%, strong majority, I think led by almost 20 points. I forget off the top of my head. And now you have, again, this thing with Iran and Israel. And a lot of people, there's so much fighting on Twitter about it. And I think it's healthy. I think that we should be discussing like what's the right principles. And like that's what you would have in a democratic society, a marketplace of ideas where people ask questions and are allowed to say, this shouldn't be the one thing where we're not allowed to say, well, there's been slippery slopes in the past. Is everybody doing this for the right reasons? And do we have the right set of facts? And I think across the board, the answer was no, we don't necessarily have the right set of facts. And even Trump is being briefed by people who, again, with every fiber of their being, like the idea of bombing sandy places. And so the way I was looking at it is, listen, Trump's an intuitive leader. He's going to make the best decisions, I think, and we should trust him. And I think he did that. And now that he has gone and done the popular part, again, let's not forget that taking a nuke away from Iran is overwhelmingly popular. People were way behind strikes. Okay, we did it. And now he's signaling the exact right things. So I'm happy. I think this is going to be a win. It's like, okay, what next?
Excellent. To your point, here is the search results for Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris across all 50 states. Let's see if we can find a trend here, especially given the map. Let's look at the map. Is there a single state in which anyone is searching more for Kamala Harris than Donald Trump? And then, of course, the answer is no. In fact, it is humiliatingly demonstrable in favor of Trump. Very proud of my home. Very proud of Florida for keeping it strong.
You can find so much stuff with Google search trends. I'll tell you, it's really wild. One of the things that jumped out to me is if you compare Trump approval to Biden approval to Bush approval to Obama approval, there's just something about Donald Trump where people are organically searching for his approval rating 2 to 3 times more than any of the previous presidents. It's almost like that it is basically their line of attack. That Donald Trump gets into office and everything in the establishment has to wage war against this man's popularity because they are resisting a change to the status quo. You can see it right there in the Google search trends volume. It's just incredible what you can see.
Okay, so very quickly here, election today, Democrat primary, New York. Are they going to elect the Marxist communist Muslim? What's going on?
I guess I don't know what's going on there, man. Okay. I'm looking at New Jersey. I think they're happy with their Democrat candidate there, and then look, those numbers. I mean, I guess that's what's going to happen to blue states now, and it's not the right thing for them because socialism is not popular when we poll on it. It just absolutely isn't. And like, name me one thing outside of Donald Trump's agenda that is popular that the Democrats can run on, and there's not a single thing. And so the loonies are winning across the board. You're not hearing anything about moderate voices in the Democrat Party. Every time you hear about moderate voices in the Democrat Party, it's coming from the right because they're passing around clips of it.
Ooh, boy. You know, like sometimes you just have to let it collapse in order to get the bedrock. You have to let it hit bedrock, right? You have to let it burn all down in order to get change. And that's what happened in New York. That's what constantly happens. This is a constant cycle in LA. This is happening. This is happening in big cities. It happens in Chicago. And then you got kind of the law and order candidate in. And it happened nationally in this country. And so maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a good thing. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mark. Godspeed, and thank you for all of your data. Here's a just as a parting gift to you. We have a Polstradamus AI of your face with a beard and your luscious hair. There you go. Polstradamus.
Just screenshotted that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Very good. Everyone would follow.
Not going to be my avatar, though.
Everybody follow Mark Mitchell, who has blown past that 100,000 follower goal on X, and now on to 250,000 for the best and most accurate pollster in America, the great Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen. See ya.
Thanks again, Benny.
See you, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump roaring to historic levels of popularity. Goodness gracious, in spite of everything. Incredible. Okay, how about some victories, shall we? And a reminder that the Secretary of Transportation will be joining our program momentarily, the great Sean Duffy, who we've been a fan of for a long time, ever since his logging days. You know, he's a logger. You know, he like cuts, chops down trees and does like logging activities in the great state of Wisconsin. Pretty freaking cool, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Speaking of getting the log rolling, the Supreme Court, massive victory in the Supreme Court yesterday for President Trump. I'm going to talk to the Secretary about this. Supreme Court ruled on Monday, Trump administration can resume deporting migrants to countries other than their home nation with limited notice. Oh my. In a 6-3 decision, which is fantastic, broke down along ideological lines, justices stayed an April ruling by a Boston federal judge, stymied the rapid deportation effort. The conservative majority did not provide a rationale for their ruling, but liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor shrieked and screamed in a 19-page dissent that was stained by a box of wine Chardonnay, cat hair, and tickets to Hamilton. Ladies and gentlemen, it was pretty embarrassing, and it was just shrieking, just if you were to caption it, it would just be like incurious left-wing cat lady, a childless cat lady shrieking, which is exactly what it was. President Trump may now continue to deport criminal aliens at will and en masse, and also as a excellent deterrence, can deport criminal aliens to third countries, as they are called, meaning countries that are not the origin of the criminal alien. Why is this important? Well, one, it's deterrence. Two, a lot of these criminal aliens, they can't determine where they're from because they shred all their IDs, their cards, they shred all their passports at the border. We went down to the border and it was like this, we saw a garbage bag of people's passports and IDs. When they come here, they discard all of it to make it very hard to document who and where they're from. And then they can lie, right? And they can say they're from a war zone or whatever, right? And try and trip or game the system. The Supreme Court came down very hard on this. And more importantly, and this is very important, the Supreme Court didn't have to explain their ruling. They didn't, the majority, the 6-3 majority, didn't even pen a word of explanation. Why? Because it's non-justiciable. This is a special little term taught to us by Stephen Miller that says the court really doesn't have an opinion here. The president has the right to defend our nation. The powers are vested within him through the vesting clause. The Supreme Court doesn't have a say in the original infrastructure, construction of our founding documents. That those are set up set aside as the powers vested into the President of the United States, and this is one. So they don't even have to like explain their ruling. It just is. It's a beautiful thing, non-justiciable. Ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Turley on this SCOTUS ruling explaining where we go from here. Let's go.
Supreme Court, at least temporarily, clearing the way for the White House to speed up these deportations and send illegals to countries where they have no previous ties. How important is this, Jonathan, tonight?
This is enormously important. It gives a great number of options now to the Trump administration. It should have the effect of speeding up deportations. This Boston judge actually said that he believed the Supreme Court and Congress were on his side. Well, obviously he was wrong about one of those by 6-3, because that's the result today. And the court said you can't send people to a country other than their home country. That is a major stumbling block for the administration. They have a lot of people to deport, but they also don't have cooperative countries often on the other side. This gives them options, and you can bet they're going to use it.
Yeah, and I think the Trump administration does not have the time to give the process that the left thinks every illegal alien is due.
Ladies and gentlemen, all right, ready to rock and roll at supersonic speed is the great Secretary of Transportation, Sean Duffy, joining us live right now. Welcome to the program, Mr. Secretary. How are you today?
I am doing well. Good to be with you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
We were hyping you up a little bit and saying that you are a Wisconsin logger, that you cut down trees and do like exceptional logging work. I'm not sure if our producers have pulled any of that, but I do want to like set the groundwork here that is in fact something that you do. You carry an axe and you can like fell a tree.
So first groundwork is you are way better dressed than me. I'd prefer to have a t-shirt on versus a suit. So well done. But yeah, so if you ever watch ESPN 6, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, so chopping, sawing, log rolling, tree climbing, all the skills of the old time lumberjacks. I grew up doing that, right? So log rolling, you start when you're really little. Speed climbing, it's a race up and down a 60, 100-foot spar pole. It's not just up, but it's coming back down as well, which is pretty cool. And then the chopping and sawing events as well. So yeah, it's kind of like, old school sports, but these aren't fat, overweight lumberjacks. They're incredibly fit, remarkable athletes. So it's a pretty cool sport.
It's amazing.
And it's Americana.
Yes, it's very Americana. And I'm sure all that axe wielding and all of that timber has made you well suited for this current environment in Washington, D.C. We just got to like start, I guess, with the top line today. Donald Trump going scorched earth at the White House, dropping F-bombs. First time we've ever seen that for a president. Getting, I think, a lot of righteous indignation as he is trying to build peace here in the Mideast. Your take on this is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, no, so listen, I think we have a president who, again, wants to take out risks like he did on the attack on Iran, but he also is a fighter for peace, right? And he's not playing sides here. And frankly, he was calling out Israel as well. And again, he's one-track minded in how do I reduce risk and how do I bring peace? And again, what I love about him is exactly what he's thinking. He doesn't mince words, right? I heard the F-bomb. I think they were able to bleep it out on Fox and Friends probably a second before, but we all knew what the president was saying. And again, I think it shows his level of frustration where he thought he had a peace deal signed. And again, that didn't happen. But make no mistake, he's going to continue to work with both Iran and Israel to broker peace and find a way forward.
Yeah, we've been focused very much on this program on establishing peace here. We think that President Trump's a peacetime president. It's the greatest thing we've seen President Trump do, actually, is walk into North Korea and be clapped on the back by Kim Jong-un. It's like an active war zone. That was one of the most remarkable things to ever see. Everyone loved that. And I think President Trump is like trying to set the table for that right now. You know the man very, very well. Can you explain sort of his thinking? And I know you're in constant communication with him. Can you explain his thinking just on this topic of peace?
But listen,
right
with remember Kim Jong-un, I mean, he had been calling him Little Rocket Man and mocking him before he agreed to the meeting.
I have a button that works
right now on the screen. Yeah, right. Exactly. And, I think what's interesting is prior American leaders it was so formaic, right? You knew what they were going to do, you knew what they weren't going to do, you knew what they were going to say, what they wouldn't say. And I think because President Trump is unpredictable, right? No one knows if he's bluffing with what he says or if he's actually meaning what he says, right? So they take everything he says seriously. And that's a really great negotiating place to come from. And again, I think whether you're in business and you're negotiating, construction contracts for your skyscrapers, the buildings that you're building, the golf courses that you build, the same philosophy works in government. You don't know what he's going to do. And so if he says it, they all somewhat recoil. They're like, oh my God, he actually could do this. And I think that's a great place to come from. And I think it's a great way to bring us closer to peace. And again, to your point, whether it's in Africa, what he's working on in the Middle East, he wants, again, he kept talking about, in the Ukraine-Russian war, all of the young men that were dying. And it really disturbed him, right? He doesn't want to see a loss of life. And it's interesting that the liberal media tries to portray him as something other than that. But if you actually listen to him, he doesn't want these young people, these young kids to lose their lives in senseless wars.
Mr. Secretary, as we watched the last 4 years of our open border and what was just sort of an obscenity to the American people, I remember getting on flights, perhaps you were on flights as well, and commercial airlines, when you would see criminal aliens being just escorted onto your aircraft. And they had these placards, they couldn't read or speak English, and they were like walked onto commercial flights by the Biden administration. And I had to, I was flying, you fly a lot in this industry, and I know you do too. And I was constantly seeing this and thinking like, what the hell is going on here? Big ruling at the Supreme Court in favor of mass deportations. Will the Department of Transportation, who must have assisted in the bringing of 15 million criminal aliens into this country, will the Department of Transportation be assisting in the deportation of these criminal aliens?
So listen, you think of people who we didn't know who they were. There weren't significant background checks. There really weren't any background checks done on these people who were getting on flights with American citizens and got a free ticket to any place of their choosing in the country at your expense, which was outrageous. I wasn't on those flights. My wife was on a number of those flights with those illegals. And by the way, what's more troubling is those who didn't get on the flights but came across the border, the gotaways. We have no idea who they are. Are they part of a terrorist cell? We don't know. It's incredibly concerning. Yes. But this will be a DOT and a Homeland Security effort. But whenever we're asked to assist, we do. Again, even as they tried to bus illegals from one location to the other, we have rules around how long drivers can be behind the wheel. We're willing to relook at those rules in regard to emergencies that take place. And we will waive the rules and partner with all the agencies as they accomplish their missions. Even, Benny, there was drone activity around detention facilities from we don't know who they were. They were probably left-wing actors, they're media, or they're part of the protests. But again, we have the FAA at the DOT, and we work with our fellow agencies to make sure that not only our agents are safe, but also we're able to accomplish the mission of deporting really bad people from the country, and whether they go back to their country of origin or, like the Supreme Court said, they can go to a third country because they're so bad their country of origin won't take them back. Again, we partner and help in every way we can.
Enjoy South Sudan, right? Like have great vacations. Yeah, come here criminally and enjoy South Sudan. You'll have I assure you, exactly. It's worse than where you came from. Yeah.
It's the best immigration policy Trump could implement. It's like, don't come. South Sudan, you might go.
It's not Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes.
No, it's not.
You've done excellent work inside of the DOT in order to reestablish some deterrence here. You announced last week that the DOT will not be assisting in rebuilding of places that have been ravaged by anti-ICE protesters, criminal aliens, torching and destroying cities. Can you explain your stance here, and as perhaps a warning to any sanctuary city or place?
So, first of all, a couple things. At DOT, we have a lot of equity. So whether it's air travel, airplanes, roads, bridges, we regulate cars, pipelines, ports, rail, passenger freight. It's a huge set of equities. But a lot of communities and states, all of them around the country, apply to us for grant money. But then you look at these protests and you see these vile actors busting up our roads and our curbs. And when they do that, then those cities will reach out to us and ask for grant money to fix the roads that were damaged or the bridges that were damaged by these protesters, which, by the way, they let protest. They let them stay there. They tried to thwart Donald Trump from bringing in the National Guard or the military to put an end to the violence. We're not going to fund those. We're not going to help rebuild the roads that they allowed to be destroyed. I had a request come in to help repair the damage from the George Floyd riots in the Twin Cities area. I'm like, why should the American taxpayer fund the damage that you all were celebrating? Tim Walz was celebrating the protesters. He opened up his windows so we could smell the smells of the rioters. Yes. And then you, the taxpayer, is going to pay to rebuild the roads that they had destroyed. So listen, we're not going to partner and partake in any of that. And by the way, infrastructure, it's American infrastructure. It's not red infrastructure or blue infrastructure, right? We all use it. And so I care about that, even in blue states and blue cities. However, we're not going to pay for what you've been showing on your screen. Again, these radicals who the left partners with and supports to protest in your streets, destroy infrastructure, not going to pay.
It's something that we're constantly talking about. It's the pothole theory, and that you can really tell a place if it's cared for by its leaders if the potholes are filled. Right. And if they're not filled, then that's just like the simplest, in the words of Donald Trump, F you to the population there, because you just don't care. It damages your car. It's so obnoxious. It's so annoying. It rattles your kid's teeth in the back of your truck. And if the roads are pristine and beautiful and are cared for, and that's actually the fastest way to see if the population is cared for. And that's why I think so many people voted for President Trump, is they wanted an America First policy that filled potholes, I guess.
But Benny, that's a really good point, because if you look at we have debates with the left about what is the role of government, what should governments do, and the government should do things that we can't do for ourselves, which is that infrastructure, those roads and those bridges that connect our people, move our goods. That is truly a role of government, and you can tell how a community or a state cares about those roads. To your point on potholes, but also how much garbage is on the side of the road. Do they clean up the roadways? Do they pick them up? Do they care about how beautiful they are, or do they allow them to be trashed? And again, that's not one of the factors that we look at. But again, I think it's incumbent upon communities to make sure they do their part, right, to keep their infrastructure up to speed. I mean, even Benny, we've had this debate about what we do with air traffic control. You say you fly a lot. I fly a lot. I keep commenting the FAA must hate me, because it seems like every flight I'm on is delayed right now by an hour or two. Right? And I'm like, are you intentionally doing this to me? And it's become more problematic as we have more people that want to fly, and we have this old system, right, that hasn't been updated in 35 to 45 years, and it can't handle all the traffic that we have going through our skies. And our people, they're safe, but they think that their government actually pays attention to these things when they're not paying attention. They want their government and their systems to work, and we haven't. It's just old and dilapidated, which, I mean, we saw that through DOGE as well, right? DOGE was, exposing, and we're using 1990s software in much of government. And again, I think it's the job of this administration to say, how do you make government truly more efficient? How do you keep that bond with the American people when they send their tax dollars in? They want it to be used well on the infrastructure that they use, whether it's roads and bridges, whether it's their rail, which, by the way, in California, they have a $4 billion grant on a railway that'll go nowhere. By the way, it's a high-speed rail. I'd love high-speed rail in this country, but you should actually build high-speed rail if you're going to get money for it. California hasn't done that. But also, you expect that you have an infrastructure for air traffic control in place that I can handle not just the current aircraft, but I'm going to have these eVTOLs, these Ubers in the air, these vertical takeoff.
Air taxis, yes.
Air taxis. It's going to complicate the airspace, but it's amazing technology that's going to move people differently. Or drones in the air. We can't accommodate that.
Or supersonic.
Supersonic, right? Boom, right? The technology around supersonic flight is is going to be remarkable. And computer technology will allow supersonic flights where that sound will ricochet off the atmosphere before it hits the ground, so you won't hear it on the ground when you have supersonic flights coming over the country. Really cool technology, but it's been decades of neglect that put us in the situation that we're in right now. And what I love about this president, whether it's in the Middle East or it's at home, he's doing things that might be hard, but the American people expect, right? Make the government more efficient, spend their dollars well, and invest in the things that they care about, and set rules that allow for innovation and creativity to happen here, and have that technology deployed here with American jobs here, as opposed to, letting these innovators have to go somewhere else in the world and bring their jobs somewhere else in the world because we're so stupid with the way we regulate business.
Oh, thank you for saying that, Mr. Secretary. It's so frustrating to cover the president when he's on these foreign trips and to see how beautiful the infrastructure is all around the globe because we pay for other people's protections. And then to see how dilapidated and how backwards like our Amtraks are here, don't have a filling, right? If you're in an Amtrak, the car's rattling so terribly. The way our air traffic works, it'd be so wonderful. So are you saying, just really quickly, are you saying that we can expect robo-taxis, air taxis in these next couple of years, supersonic flight to be approved in this country?
100%. So I think the next 4 years, what you're going to see is, and again, what we have to do is make sure we're kind of like Goldilocks, right? Remember, not too hot, not too cold, just right, Benny. We can't go too fast because if there's accidents, right, it's going to set us back. And we can't go too slow. So we have to set the right path forward where, as the technology develops, we're allowing the rules that allow this to be deployed. So we're already test flying these eVTOLs, these air taxis, and drones and supersonic flights are already being tested. And again, I think you think about, just if I could quickly say, again, AI is amazing technology. It's going to revolutionize the way things work. But outside of AI, we are the most innovative place where, again, we're going to have autonomous vehicles. We're going to have these eVTOLs, these air taxis. We're going to have drones. And so the way your products and our people move is going to fundamentally change. It's like the birth of my cracked iPhone is, we don't know what it's going to bring, but it's fundamentally going to change the way we live, and for the better. And it's important that we get it right on the regulatory side. Again, because if you have accidents because you went too fast, people freak out and they don't adopt the technology. But let it go. Again, there's some risk when we do it, but in the end, I think people are going to be safer. They're going to move faster. There's going to be less congestion. And again, it's our job to make sure we go at the right pace with the right rules.
This is fantastic. I've just been such a fan of the work that you've done. I've never seen Department of Transportation actually like focused on the American people, on the potholes, proverbial, metaphorical, and physical in this country before. And it's like, the difference in administrations. The transportation secretary was defined by East Palestine in the last administration, right. And you're defined by like Elon Musk parallel parking rockets. It's wild.
Yeah, catching them with chopsticks, right? It's remarkable. By the way, we have the airspace. So from an inch off the ground until space, that's ours at the FAA. And what you're going to see with rocket launches, you're going to see more than one a day in the not too distant future. And again, America is leading the way. And we have SpaceX, but Blue Origin, and there's a lot of other players in the space. And again, what you see is this innovation happening in America again, which is wonderful, right? We're innovative people, but when you have a government that suppresses the innovator, right, that doesn't allow them to evolve here, again, they stop or they go somewhere else. And what you're seeing now is actually we're supporting it, we're encouraging it. We're not just beating them up. We're like, listen, we got to regulate, we got to do things right, but we support you. Like, we want you to do this. We're excited about what you're doing because it's going to be in America by Americans.
We just have to really quickly touch on this because you just brought up Blue Origin. One of the most viral things you ever posted was that Katy Perry isn't an astronaut. And I just wanted to ask about that. And if you don't mind a double question here, you also brought up Doge. And boy, howdy, Mr. Secretary, one of the first things that you posted on February 6th from your official account, that it got 10 million views, 200,000 likes, and 57,000 reposts, was you just telling Hillary Clinton, see you later, lady. You just nuked Hillary from space. saying that you've cut out the obscene grifting at USAID, and you won't let her lie and distort facts after she was attacking you. We just love to see that. We love to see this energy. Maybe this is like an open-ended question. Your daughter, by the way, responded to it saying, my dad is not suicidal, which I think is important. Right. Just like, can you maybe explain this new energy that you're bringing to this role, sir?
Well, you know what? I think that the president allows us to be unleashed, right? And in these secretarial roles, we can fight back, we can push back, we can drive forward, and because he does it every single day, and we can be authentic in how we do it. So again, I think it's okay to engage in culture and go, you know what, let's be honest. It's cool. These ladies all went up on a Blue Origin flight. They're space tourists, but to come back and say they're astronauts, let's be honest, they're not, right? They're space tourists. I want to clear the air on that. And then again, that Hillary Clinton had the audacity to come after me and try to chide us, I think this was after the DCA air crash. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry, Hillary. She has no credibility, and we're not going to take it. So we're going to fight back and push back against her. And again, I think a lot of other secretaries and other administrations wouldn't feel comfortable pushing back when they're taking heat from the likes of Hillary Clinton. But the president, he's like, you know what? We are in a war. The left is at war with us. And when they take shots, don't be afraid to fire back. Don't take their lies and the misrepresentation. So it's so cool to work for a president who is engaged in culture, but engaged with the cabinet and really good policies. Listen, it's incredibly freeing. I haven't worked for a different president, but I've watched other presidents, and what he does for us to allow us to fight with him and for him and for the American people is really cool. And by the way, when you sit in the cabinet meetings, Benny, it's remarkable how he thinks, how he brings his team together. And I've never been in a different cabinet room, but you see this cabinet, everyone's working together. Everyone's trying to partner together. Everyone's trying to support each other. They're applauding each other. No one's stabbing anyone in the back. No one is fighting with anyone inside the cabinet. Everyone's getting along and trying to accomplish the agenda of this president, which is what you want. That's why you elected him, right? You want everyone to fight for the policies that he ran on, and that the culture that he's created, that's actually happening inside of all of our different departments and inside the cabinet room, which again, I think will give you better results for the mission that the president has set out, the mission that he ran on.
Something tells me, Mr. Secretary, that Donald Trump's going to enjoy you hitting back at Hillary Clinton so savagely. And he's also going to enjoy this final thing that you did yesterday. You brought back a Jesus painting at the Merchant Marine Academy. I know you just gave a commencement address here at the Academy. It's up on our social media. It's a beautiful address. You talked about fatherhood and raising a family, and you were just attacked for that yourself. You have 1 million kids, just like I do. It's the greatest thing ever. But then you brought back a painting of Christ here, saving a wayward vessel, and brought that back to the forefront. And you're not ashamed of that. And I just want to give you an opportunity to comment on it.
So I have that same painting behind me. I took a picture of it and had a replica made. So this is Christ on the water, and it was hung in Wiley Hall, one of the most prominent rooms inside of the Merchant Marine Academy. And the last administration, received a letter complaining about Christ in the water. And so they took it from this place of prominence and they moved it down into a basement. They actually had to fold it up because it couldn't fit all the way in the basement. And it's absolutely unacceptable. And so what we've done is said, you know what, we're going to take Jesus out of the basement and we're going to move, and again, it's going to take us some time because we have to unfold it and have the curators come in, but we're going to move it back to a place of prominence. Again, we don't have to take Jesus out of every institution, and a beautiful painting like that should not be in the basement of a chapel. So Jesus is on his way back up to his place of prominence at the Merchant Marine Academy. And by the way, Benny, you probably haven't heard of the Merchant Marine Academy. It's not Annapolis. It's not West Point. Some of the most remarkable young men and women come from this academy. They sail the ships that support our military. They bring whether they're weapons or food or vehicles to our military men and women on the front lines. 40% of them go into the military. They're the most highly recruited cadets, or they're midshipmen, into the military because they're just the hardest working, strongest, greatest kids that and again, I have a lot of kids I can compare to. They are just fantastic kids, and they fall under DOT. They're living on a campus that's dilapidated, right? They have mold. They went 4 months without hot water at this academy. Their dishwasher broke, so they're eating off of paper plates and using plastic forks. And so I have committed to them that we are going to get the resources and rebuild that academy that produces these wonderful young men and women, great Americans, and make it worthy of an American Service Academy. So it's fantastic.
That's wonderful. It's incredible to hear, and it's just an amazing thing to see. Just the through line here of secretaries in this administration, the entire administration, living out their values. Everything from Trump's comments this morning to just being able to fight back is just a wonderful thing to see. It's incredibly inspiring. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Everybody follow, obviously, Secretary Duffy right here. He's got nearly 400,000 followers. It is also remarkable how popular everything that you are doing is. You never see a transportation
with your help, I'll just get to 500,000.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Get in there.
Your 4 million listeners, just give 100,000. You'd come on board at Sec Duffy. We'd appreciate it.
Let's go. We know that you're due at the White House. We appreciate your time, Mr. Secretary. Godspeed.
Thank you, Benny. Have a good one.
Thank you.
God bless.
Just an exciting time to be alive, you know? It's a beautiful thing. We're it's just such as we say it a lot, and perhaps the novelty will wear off a little bit, but it's just such an honor to have the Trump administration be reaching out to our show, be talking with us and coming on to field these questions. Some of them are a little, it's not like going on a C-SPAN interview. You're going to get asked probably some curveballs, some interesting things, some Katy Perry questions, stuff like that. Bring up the Hillary Clinton suicide tweet from his daughter. But that's how they roll, and you can see how chill they are and how locked in they are. It's really neat, man. It's a great honor. It's really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking of being locked in and ready to go and ready to raise the bar, as the Secretary is doing there in the Department of Transportation, we raise the bar with our health every single day. Field of Greens from Brickhouse is how we do it. Again, I sit here in this little black box all day. We record all day, from sun up till sundown. And sometimes, man, you are twitching for the Uber Eats, and you I just get a fried chicken sandwich, right? No. There's a much easier way to get your fruits, your vegetables, the incredible nutrition that you need, and in a very convenient way to drink it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a delicious glass of doctor-formulated Field of Greens. I have one every single day. It leaves me feeling amazing. You'll notice improved health or your money back. This is a fruit and vegetable drink that assists in keeping my immune system high, supporting my vital organs, and ensuring that my doctors are very happy with the way things are going internally here so that I can externally get ready to rock in the studio every single day. Keeps us on our feet, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you are protecting your heart, liver, kidneys, metabolism, immune system, and healthy blood cells by using Field of Greens. Go to fieldofgreens.com, use the code Benny and get 20% off and free shipping. That's the code Benny, B-E-N-N-Y, fieldofgreens.com, code Benny, 20% off today. All right, very interesting. What else do we have? There's a lot going on in the world right now, but sort of the oxygen gets sucked up when Donald Trump drops the F-bomb on Israel. Oh boy, Hunter Biden being sued. Amazing how this all works. Hunter Biden sued for $50,000 in unpaid legal bills, including his Delaware gun case. Wow, that he lost. He should have gone to jail for, and he was pardoned by his degenerate father. Hunter Biden owes a law firm that represented him in federal investigations substantially in excess of $50,000, according to the lawsuit filed against him. So now his own, the law firm is suing Hunter Biden that defended Hunter Biden. Well, isn't that a great life lesson there? Somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So you're defending Hunter Biden for being a scumbag, cheating his taxes, cheating on his wife, his multiple wives, with like his sister-in-law, getting her addicted to crack cocaine, which he did, and being just a complete and utter degenerate. You're like you're defending him, and then you like are shocked when he steals from you. Okay. This is a firm called Winston & Straw, LLP. It's a breach of contract action against Mr. Biden for unpaid legal fees, reads the complaint. In the Superior Court of the District of Columbia, the lawsuit notes that Hunter, 55, hired them to represent him in several complex matters, including his criminal case. District of Delaware firm provided him with extensive legal services in those matters, which generated a substantial amount of fees. And he has dodged repeated efforts to collect on those fees. A portion of those fees had been paid. Mr. Biden presently owes substantially in excess of $50,000. Okay. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. Okay? And when somebody tells you who they are, believe them. Okay. We'll tell you who we are. We are humbly a servant to this audience. We serve this audience by delivering the verse of the day every single day. This one from Proverbs, ladies and gentlemen, Proverbs 16:7. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies be at peace with him. Whew, what a perfect verse a day. I loved peacetime President Trump. I loved what happened last night. I was giddy. We were buzzing at the site. And we were recording all into the night. You know, like this, the good news. The excellent and good news. What a perfect proverb for that. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies be at peace with him. We got to be at peace as a country. Focus on this nation. Make the main thing the main thing. And then we'll have 100 years of MAGA. I mean, I'm telling you, man, like that is a winning coalition. But it gets destroyed. And I'm so glad we had the pollster Mark Mitchell on, Pollstradamus. I'm so glad that we had him on because that gets destroyed by getting entangled in somebody else's problems. It's fundamentally not our problem. And everything that we worked so hard for, everything that we put like our lives on the line for, in our own ways, President Trump takes a bullet for, it all gets put in jeopardy. As you can see clearly in the polling, president after president, when you get America entangled in these foreign problems. So let's not do that this time. Blessed are the peacemakers, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for following along with us as we march very proudly, without freaking out, without losing our minds, without panicking, very proudly towards this peace. We didn't disavow anyone. We didn't disavow Trump. We didn't rage. We didn't send any embarrassing tweets that we had to delete. We stayed steady on this. We didn't warmonger or simp for foreign nations. This is our home and only nation, and we're excited to defend it with you. It's your boy Benny. Join us, ladies and gentlemen. In the end, we win. See ya.
You're it. You're it. You're it. Quitsies! Anti-quitsies. You're it. Quitsies. No anti-quitsies, no startsies. You can't do that. Can't do. Cannot. Triple stamped it. No erases. Touch blue, make it true. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You can't triple stamp a double stamp. You guys! Enough! Hey. Want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny shows the storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.